Welcome to the Speechie Show. Being a speech-language pathologist often means having too much work and not enough planning time. To beat the overwhelm, we're bringing you the tricks and tools that will make your job a little bit easier. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Speechie Show. I'm your host, Carrie Clark from speechandlanguagekids.com, and today we are talking about increasing parent and family engagement and helping out with Carryover. We're here today with Leah Curtin from speechandlanguageathome.com, right?
Right.
Welcome, and thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Carrie.
Absolutely. If you are joining us on Facebook Live, we did have a false start. So hopefully everybody who was trying to watch that one will come on over and watch this one. This is our second go at it. We were trying to get the cool new Facebook Live 2-in-1 feature going, but it didn't work out for us today.
Yeah. Next time, maybe.
Yes, next time. But today we're here. We got a Skype call going. We're good to go. So we are going to share with you today some tips for increasing parent and family caregiver engagement and having them help in the therapy process. We all know that that can increase the speed that our children make progress in therapy. So excited to talk about this topic today. If you are new to the show, my name is Carrie Clark. I am from speechandlanguagekids.com, and this is the Speechie Show. We do this once a week. We have a new guest on each week, and we talk about whatever topic is interesting to that guest, and hopefully will interest all of you as well. So if you're watching with us on Facebook Live, go ahead and type what setting you are working with. So are you working with preschoolers, early intervention? We want to make sure we're getting the right information to you. So go ahead and type that in the comments. And while they're doing that, Leah, why don't you go ahead and tell our guests or our audience a little bit about you?
Okay, so I am a speech-language pathologist in Denver, and I worked in the school setting for about 15 years. So I saw kids from preschool all the way up to high school. And then about 4 years ago, I switched to home health. So I started seeing little ones like birth to 3, but I still see kids who continue to have a diagnosis where they need therapy at home. So I also see older kids on my caseload as well.
Perfect. And tell us a little bit about speechandlanguageathome.com.
So when I made this transition, I realized that it was really important to help connect with families. So I wanted a resource that I could share with them. So I started a website and I started making materials, and I thought I would share those. So I'm sharing them on Teachers Be Teachers because there's not really a lot out there for early intervention. So
perfect.
That's what I kind of have been building up my website to help families and caregivers and other professionals as well.
That's great. It's so wonderful to have more resources out there so that we can share with everyone else. All right, let's see. We got a lot of people chiming in. We've got outpatient pediatric clinic, middle school and early intervention, K through 6, elementary school, itinerant preschoolers, preschool through 5th grade, and elementary 1 through 6. So we've got a lot of span there. So we've got a lot of different people joining us, and we will share some tips that will help all of you today. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our 5 tips for you today on increasing caregiver and family participation in the therapy process. If you have any questions as we go along, please type those into Facebook Live and we will answer those as we go. All right, so our first tip today then is to think about our families as learners. Leah, tell me what it means when you think of families as learners.
Well, when I switched settings, I really had to do some more research because this was a new setting for me. And I learned how important it was to we are really the educators and the support for families. So we can come in and do therapy, but it's more important if they understand what we're doing. So I had to learn more about that relationship and how we really see the family as learners. And that might mean that they really have to see what's in it for them. So families really want to know why you're coming into their home. How is it going to benefit them? Mm-hmm. And that's important in the school as well, too, because if you can communicate the more you do at home, they might be out of speech a little faster and spending more time in class. So it's really important to communicate that to the families.
Absolutely. I think a lot of times when we're in the home, sometimes it just looks like we're playing and they don't really understand the meaning behind it. So of course they're not going to say, oh, well, the speech therapist played with you, I should go play with you. But if we can really give that education and teach them about the process, you're right, you're going to get better buy-in.
Exactly.
Wonderful. All right, so that's our first tip, is thinking about those families as learners, getting them on board with the process educationally. And then the next tip is going to be to provide a variety of resources. What kinds of resources do you look for when you're sharing with your families, Leah?
Well, I am sure, like all of you, we work with lots of different kinds of kids, lots of different kind of families that all have different backgrounds. So some, they want the books. They want to know where they can go to the library and recommendations. Other people want shorter, maybe articles, handouts that you can give them. But now there's so many possibilities. We can share Facebook groups, we can share podcasts, we can share even Instagram accounts. I think if we're creative to see how these families like learning, then to make that as easy as possible so that they're getting the information that works best for them.
Perfect. Now I'm thinking in terms of our viewers who are maybe in the school setting and don't have time to talk to each family and see what they want. Would you recommend something like a handout that just lists all the different types of resources, or how would you suggest doing that?
Yeah, so I started collecting, I just made a list for myself of, and it was included resources in the community, like when are the library times, so those kind of resources, but then also ways that they can access information. Websites I felt would be important. So I've collected those on my website, and I have a little resource center. So if you have your own little bank of library, whatever system works best for you, then you have that to go to when you get a new kid on your caseload, and you can share, just kind of start collecting as you go.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea, because I never thought about sharing like even Instagram accounts. I never thought about sharing that with parents, but there are some parents that's all the time they're going to have is to swipe through an Instagram and be like, oh yeah, I could do something like that. So that's a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we get information. It's quick, it's on your phone, whatever is easy, I think. And sometimes they have more buy-in if they're already on Facebook. I share a Facebook group with Ayelet that talks about early toddler and infant development. And there's parents and speech pathologists on there, and it's just a good open communication. But I think it's just letting people know that there are opportunities like that out there. So.
Absolutely. Funny story, I took my child to a new co-working space, and we were in the childcare area, and I was talking to the childcare worker, and I said, oh, I'm a speech language pathologist, and she goes, oh my gosh, have you heard of Ayelet's group? And so she's already in your group. So what's the name of that Facebook group? Because it's a great group.
Let's Talk Infant and Toddler Development.
Let's Talk Infant and Toddler Development. All right, so maybe after the show, if you'll link to that in the comments of this post, then that'll be a good resource to either share with families, or if you are a family, to be on there as well. Plus, there's speech language pathologists in there as well, right?
There are, yes.
Perfect. All right, great. Okay, so that's our first 2 tips. Stay with us, and if you are here on Facebook Live, we are going to be doing some giveaways here in just a moment, so hang tight with us and we'll share some fun resources. Let's see, Lisa says, I use Bloom's app to communicate with parents and provide resources. Perfect, that's a great one as well. Thank you, Lisa. So the third tip then is to take time to find out what's important to families. How does this look for you, Leah?
So I get the luxury of being in the home. We spend a lot of time with the families, and so we have that open dialogue. And I've learned in working with them how important it is, because I always learn something new. So I think it's good for early interventionists to really be open to that. I know, also having been in the schools, that it just seems like one more thing. It can feel like a lot to have that parent communication. So this is a perfect time of year when you're doing those maybe about me, getting to know your kids worksheets like this, where they're filling in the foods they like. I'll include this in the notes as well. But you can find out what their favorite sports team is, what they watch on YouTube. I think just thinking outside what's your favorite color and, what's your favorite subject in school, spend a little longer and really ask them more questions about home and keep notes of those, because those would be good to use in therapy. So you could tailor your therapy a little more individually.
Absolutely. And going off those same lines, my son is in therapy for sensory processing disorder, and we have these exercises that we have to do, and it's hard to work it in. Even if it's like a 2-minute exercise, like finding time to make my child sit down and do this thing that's really hard for him it's kind of a nightmare sometimes. So what I found helpful is when I'm talking with our therapist, I'll say, okay, we're really struggling right now with swimming lessons. He won't lay his head back in the water. And so they're able to say, okay, that's what you need help with. We have an exercise for, this vestibular piece of it. We'll work on that right now. So being able to have that relationship where you can say, okay, what are you struggling with at home right now? I can help with whatever it is. We'll work on the communication piece of that. Have you found that as well to be helpful with your families?
Absolutely. If the families know, like I said, back to that first point of what's in it for them, if they see like, oh, they're really here to help me, not just my child, but we're here to help make their lives easier, and those struggles that they're dealing with on a daily basis, their frustrations, that's where the communication breaks down. So when we can help support that, and we don't know unless we talk with the families. So that communication is really important.
Yeah, because you might think that the most important thing is getting this child to ask for a snack, and they're saying, dude, mealtimes aren't a problem. He eats great. What we need help with is, the pottying routine. It's a nightmare. So
exactly. And you may get a referral from a teacher who, they can't say their R's or something. But if you really talk to the teacher, maybe the child isn't participating in social groups. They might have other weaknesses that they didn't get referred for, but having that open communication with teachers and staffs works the same way. So knowing where the communication is breaking down.
Absolutely. Okay, stay tuned, guys. We're going to do our giveaways in just a minute. If you have any questions, go ahead and type those into Facebook Live. Okay, so the next tip we're going to share is just making it simple. How do we make it simple for these families so it doesn't feel like one more burden that we have during our parenting day?
So one thing that I found was really helpful, I created these, it's a calendar, and they're for all different levels. Well, I've got 3 different levels for kids that are they don't even have words yet. So early communicators, those kids that are in that learning first word stage, and then the ones that are expanding their language, phrases and sentences. So something like this, you can either make your own. These are free to download on my website, but it's just one daily thing, just a reminder to sing a song with them, like go outside and look at the moon, at night. It just gives parents very simple one way to incorporate language into their daily activities. Could be at meals, it could be when you're out for a walk, it could be at the grocery store, but I think parents just need that. They just need to know what can they do, and to reinforce what they already are doing, that's helping their language too.
Absolutely. So do you have a recommendation for an amount of minutes per day that you usually shoot for with families?
I think it depends so much on the family.
Sure.
I think there are families the kids that I work with, sometimes they have 2 or 3 hours of therapy at home during the day. So feeling like it's one more thing, like a lot of families, feels like a lot. But if you can incorporate it into a meal time and not say, okay, let's do it for 5 minutes. Doesn't have to be like a drill or practice. But for other kids, like at school, if you want to say, here's your, 5 words, check it off. As long as families know that it's going to be something simple, and they're going to be more likely to follow through.
Definitely. And that leads us into our 5th point today, which is incorporating these things into daily routines. Talk about what that looks like for our speech and language practice.
So I didn't really think about this too much in the schools, as now it's like so much of what we do in early intervention, really building the language into the children's daily lives. So that could be meal times, and like I said, at the grocery store, how can we build language in? But we can also think about this in the school too. So our kids follow a schedule during their classroom day. So if you go around at the beginning of the school year and maybe collect your teachers' classrooms, they probably have a handout on what their daily routines look like. But it could also mean using like the cafeteria lunch menu. That's something that the kids do on a daily basis. So use words off of materials like that are built into the kids' daily routine, and have them sequence, how do you take your backpack off and hang it on a hook, or think about what kind of routines they are doing during the day already.
Absolutely. One of the ways that I've done this in the past is use my push-in therapy time for this. So if I have some time where I'm pushing into the classroom, I will model for the teacher some strategies she can use to incorporate language into whatever activity. So let's say I get there at the beginning of the day and the children are putting their coats and backpacks away, and I model how they can work on two-step directions without visuals for these couple of children that are working on that. Or I model how the teacher can get down with a student and say, "Good morning, how are you?" and expect that reciprocated greeting. So I'm thinking about what are their goals and how can those be worked in, and then I model that in the classroom during my push-in time. So I think that's a great way to do daily routines as well.
Exactly, and teachers may not even realize that that's something that you can help them with. They may not know to communicate that to you, that, oh, this kid never pays attention when I'm, giving directions. But it's so great that you can be in the classroom to help see that.
Absolutely. Perfect. All right. Those are our 5 tips for you today. We are going to share some resources here and some giveaways. So stay tuned if you're on with Facebook Live with us right now. But let's go ahead and talk about resources. You said you have a special link for us today, right?
Yeah, so if you go to my website, up at the menu at the top, I have a resource section. So you can find links to speech pathology blogs. I have free ASHA CEUs, good places to find that, plus those other things like Facebook groups and things like that. So that's a resource for you. I also give away lots of free stuff on my website. Like I have these monthly calendars that I send out, and I know we're going to give away something to one of your viewers, but if you didn't get to watch this live and you're watching later, anyone that goes into my website and does a / of Speechie Show, and I'll put the link below. I have a link to this handout. Oh, and then also I forgot to mention this, but I made some resources. These are school words that you might see during the day that you wouldn't really think of. It's probably not going to be words that you find in your speech materials, like drinking fountain or construction paper. In classroom words that they see or hear every day. And so I have a list of school words that are broken down into by speech sound. So if you head over there, you can download those also.
Perfect. Okay, so that would be speechandlanguageathome.com/Speechie Show, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
We'll put a link to that below in the comments,
yeah.
and also in the show notes once we get the recording up on the Speech and Language Kids website. So look for that link, and you can head over there and get all of these resources, plus check out everything else we got over there. Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing giveaways here on Facebook Live. If you're watching with us today live, you can participate. The first giveaway is going to be Leah's, and this is, why don't you tell them? What are you giving away today?
Well, I know that there are maybe some of your viewers work in early intervention or some in more school, so I do have an early intervention notebook if that's an area that fits your needs, but I also have some materials that are maybe more appropriate for school-based kids. I have these flip books, so I'll let the winner choose whichever one.
Perfect. It's a you pick.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do a you pick. You get to pick either between the early intervention or the elementary school resources. And where can people find those if they don't win today? Are those going to be on that link?
Yeah, so you can find the link off of my website, but I also have a TPT store, which is Speech and Language at Home. And in case any of your viewers don't know, they're going to have their site-wide sale over the next 2 days. So everything in my store and many other speech therapist stores are going to be 25% off for the next 2 days. So
perfect. You'll have to do that. Okay, so that's the first giveaway. The second giveaway is going to be 2 free months in my membership, the Speech Therapy Solution. And if you haven't heard, we just got approved to start doing ASHA CEUs. So starting in September, we will be offering ASHA CEUs. It is a membership site for speech language pathologists where you get training, you get to ask us your questions, and we help you with your tough cases. There's a whole library full of print and go resources. And the price is going to go up in September when we start offering the CEUs. So if you get in the month of August, you can lock in your rate before that price hike, and your rate will stay the same for the lifetime of your membership. So you definitely want to get in before the end of August 31st to lock in your lower rate. But that you can find that over at speechandlanguagekids.com/join. And we will be giving away 2 free months to one person today here on Facebook Live. So here we go. Are you ready? Okay. I am going to ask a question. The first 2 people to respond are going to win the prize. So the first person is going to win Leah's. The second person is going to win the membership here. So here's the question. You ready? Name a routine that a family could use to work on speech and language skills. So this is a routine at home that you could instruct a family how to work on some speech and language skills while they're in the midst of that routine. And while we are waiting for people to chime in, I will say I just bought a book called Breathe, Mama, Breathe. And it's all about how to do mindfulness while you're in parenting routines. So it's the same thing, but with mama self-care, which this mama desperately needs.
yeah.
So I'm excited about that one. That's a good book. All right, so we've got Blake Brown has said brushing teeth. So Blake, you are going to win your choice of Leah's resources. Leah, how do you want her to contact you to get her prize?
She can reach me at Leah at Speech and Language at Home.
Perfect, and that's LIA, correct?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And the next person, oh, we got a bunch of them here. Okay, the next one was Lisa Jorgensen, and she said meal time. Lisa, you're going to win the 2 free months in my membership. I can't remember if you're already a member. If you are, we'll just add it onto your current membership. Or if not, we'll set you up with a new one. So you can email me at Carrie at speechandlanguagekids.com, and that's CARRIE. And my assistant Ken will get you all set up with your 2 free months. Congratulations, guys. We had a whole bunch of other people chiming in as well. That's wonderful. All right. Thank you all so much for participating and joining us today. And Leah, thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can people find more about you?
So on my website at Speech and Language at Home, but I also have a Facebook page and also social media accounts. So
perfect. Wonderful. And you can find out more about the Speech Therapy Solution and the upcoming ASHA CEUs we will be offering. Head on over to speechandlanguagekids.com/join. And don't forget to sign up in the month of August to lock in that lower rate. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next week on The Speechie Show. Bye for now. Thanks for joining us today on The Speechie Show. We hope today's tips have helped you feel a little less stressed and a little more confident about your work. If you're looking for more stress busters and confidence boosters, we'd love to have you join us in the Speech Therapy Solution, where you'll get access to a huge library of premium training videos and another library of print and go therapy materials. You can also get help with your tough cases by joining Carrie on the weekly Q&A calls or by posting in the exclusive Facebook group. Plus, group members can join us for a monthly webinar that can be used for continuing education credit. Head on over to speechandlanguagekids.com/join to check out all the amazing benefits of the Speech Therapy Solution membership. Bye for now.